Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. Just finished Manchester City 1, West Ham United 0. We're here to discuss the highlights. Although there was only one goal, there's a little bit of talking points. There's a few things I'd like to discuss with Gonzo after the game, and about one or two players that appeared in said game. Ben Johnson made history. He was West Ham United's first player born in the 21st century to feature in a Premier League game. And we'll discuss how he gets on in a minute. But Gonzo, after 15 minutes, it was 0-0. It could have been about 4-0 Man City, though. David Silva coming closest, hitting the post from a Kevin De Bruyne cross. Were you thinking, whoa, this could be a long, long evening?
I really did think it was going to be a long evening. And because, funny enough, obviously I'll cut forward a little bit. I remember after 62 minutes thinking, oh my goodness, there's half an hour left of this. So, I mean, fair play to everybody that's gone up there. That wasn't an entertaining way to spend your evening. That was a hard watch. And they were honest, mate, as you say. I looked after 11 minutes and they could or should have been 3-0 up.
At half-time, it was 0-0. Manchester City had 70% possession. They had 11 shots. West Ham had none. And Man City had 7 corners. West Ham had none of them either. So it was all one-way traffic. In the 50th minute, though, Gonzo, we almost took the lead. Lanzini came on at half-time to replace Samir Nasri and did well at the edge of the box, got the ball in. Andy Carroll at the back post, and fantastic save by Ederson. But when you play... it's a bit of a cliche, this. When you play the top teams and you get a chance like that, you have to take it or you will get punished.
Yeah, you do. I thought initially Lanzini might have been fouled. It turned out to be not much of a touch at all, actually. But he did well to find Carroll. And obviously, Carroll was on his weaker foot. You do. But also, that is the hallmark of a world-class striker. If you get one chance and you put it away. And obviously, we don't have one of those. So it was, it was tough. It was the only save that that the geezer was going to go on to make. But it was something. It was something to, I don't know, to get mildly excited about, if you like.
I felt a bit sorry for Carlo because he does everything right. He peels away from defence. He creates a few yards. He's finally got someone on the pitch that can provide him with a pass. You just almost wish Lanzini dinked it rather than did like a shot come cross type thing into the box. And he does well to keep on target and win the corner, actually. It's a very, very difficult chance. It's easy to say he's in acres of space, but, we could go into the first half and say that about Mahrez. I mean, David Silva's one was 5 times easier, that chance that hit the post. So you could go into the City's team and go, well, Mahrez should have scored. De Bruyne should have scored. This player and that player all had better chances than Carroll. His chance in terms of the list of chances in the game, it's down at 10th or something. So he's just a bit unlucky. But 58 minutes, this is where City take the lead, but perhaps controversially. Penalty, Bernardo Silva, who came on along with Raheem Sterling, he goes into the box and he sort of stops and lets Anderson, he doesn't really bump into the back of him. Down he goes. Is that a penalty for you?
No, it wasn't. And, me, Gio, I probably called it against us more times than the other way. I will say it. I'm not one for sugarcoating these things. Manchester City are a wonderful team, and we deserve nothing from that game. They deserve to win. They deserve to win that game 5-0. But you know what? At that point, they weren't 5-0 up. It was 0-0. They don't need favours from the referee. And it's a little bit sickening, and it does seem to happen against the bigger clubs where the referee will give them the benefit of the doubt that perhaps the rest of us just don't get. And they just don't need it. And then Aguero steps up, and obviously he's a world-class striker, arguably. Well, he's up there, isn't he, with Shearer and Thierry Henry and all the other Premier League greats. And it was actually sickening. I was actually disgusted by that bit of referee, and actually, not that we deserved it, Gio.
I think it was very soft anyway. I've seen them give him. I've also seen referees tell the player to get up, etc. It's not a dive, okay? I don't think it's a dive, but I think he very much goes into that box and looks for the penalty. In just 8 minutes prior to that, I think Lanzini could have done something similar if he wanted to down the other end of the pitch. I think the contrast between the two players is massive, and you don't want to say, well, maybe Lanzini should have went looking for a penalty. You don't want to encourage that sort of dishonesty in the game. But when the game's just finished 1-0 and the only goal is through the act of somebody playing for a penalty, you do have to think, well, maybe you do have to play them at their own game in order to win it. It's just a shame that we tried to play, Lanzini stays on his feet, etc., etc. We don't make the most of it. I think Bernardo Silva, I'll tell you what, if that was Raheem Sterling, the penalty wouldn't have been given, in my opinion. The referee would have said, you up. But because Bernardo Silva, and I'm speaking as a neutral, obviously, I don't associate him with diving. I don't associate him. I just associate him as one of these honest type footballers. So I think he gets the benefit of the doubt from the referee. I think it was Raheem Sterling. I don't think the referee gives it because of the diver tag he's got associated with him. 1-0 Man City. Fredericks cleared off line 5 minutes later after a little. There was a few bits and bobs from Manchester City. A few times they should have maybe shot. Fabianski made some really good saves as well to keep us in it. Gonzo finished 1-0. But what's your opinion?
Well, I mean, it's a tough one, Gio, because we sit here and we do the Hammers chat and we do the Talk a Good Game, and we're meant to sit here and analyse the game of football and analyse it like that was a sporting contest and say this side did this and this side did that. But the truth of the matter is that wasn't a sporting contest. It was a bit like the Harlem Globetrotters, a tired Harlem Globetrotters doing an exhibition match and doing what they needed to get over the line. And it's a weird one because football's a funny old sport. In order for us not to be thrashed, we basically had to not attack. I mean, that's a weird thing in sport. I mean, you wouldn't go into a snooker match and think, I'm not going to pot a ball here and hopefully I won't lose the frame or whatever. Use whatever analogy you want. And it's just a really, really strange one. The truth of the matter is the two teams shouldn't be playing in the same league at all. At all. They are so much better because when they can bring on the players that they brought on, when Sterling comes on, who's fantastic, when Bernardo Silva comes on, who's absolutely brilliant, you just realise what a golfing class there is. And it's very, very hard to analyse. And I've got nothing bad to say about West Ham at all. We did what we had to do. I even agreed that we should have played some lesser teams. I think it's right to rest people like Noble and Snodgrass ahead of the Cardiff game, which is the winnable game. But the moment you are highlighting matches as unwinnable, and it was, and so then why are we all playing in the same division? We are in the age of the Super Club, and I tell you, they keep on threatening this European Super League. The sooner they all fuck off and do it, the better for all of us, and let us all carry on with our domestic football because it's just getting silly. We just can't compete. We cannot compete, and they're just on a different level. They're almost playing a different game.
I have to I can only really echo that. Actually, they deserved to win 5-0 tonight, City. They did. They had the chances. They had all the possession and stuff. And it got to the point that all West Ham fans had written this game up before kickoff. We all said, if we can get anything out of you. Actually, it's got to the point, I don't know. I'm not very social media. We jumped on this straight after full time. I've got a feeling everyone's happy with a 1-0 defeat. That's the golfing class right now. We're all thinking, we played all right tonight. We didn't get smashed. This is a good result. 1-0. Getting beat 1-0 is a fantastic result. The players are all going to be patting themselves on the back that we only got beat. And something, quite right. Okay, quite right. Because we're having to give a 19-year-old a debut out of position at left back up against £60 million Riyad Mahrez. And to give the guy, I want to talk about Ben Johnson in a second. I'll get your opinion on him. But to give you my opinion, Mahrez had to get subbed for £50 million Raheem Sterling. Well, Ben Johnson, that's literally the biggest compliment you could get tonight. That their manager, Pep Guardiola, regarded as the best manager in the world, had to take off his £60 million player and put on his £50 million player. Because Mahrez has seen a lot of the ball, but he hadn't been effective at all. So Ben Johnson can take huge, huge credit from that. And I think that's the biggest compliment he can possibly get from tonight. When he went off, you could see some of the players said something to him. Antonio was one of the ones that went up to him to say, listen, well done and stuff. And I think it was perfect management by Pellegrini. You take him off. He's obviously ran about for about 17 minutes. All our players were tired by the end of the game, understandably so. I've not seen Declan Rice sort of not chase someone that much as he did. There's a couple of times he got skinned. You could see him. He just couldn't run anymore. He was trying to run, but he just, you couldn't do it. And you just felt a bit sorry for them. Pellegrini got his tactics spot on. I thought, like you said, we've got no option. Even when we went forward, we could only put 3 or 4 bodies at it because as soon as you lose the ball, City are coming at you with 8 players. You've got to get back. Anderson, bless him. Johnson was very much 2 against 1 a lot of times, but that's because whenever we had the ball, Anderson's job was to get forward. But the problem is he does it, and as soon as he's at the halfway line, he's got to turn him on all the way back again. He was on a his job was impossible tonight at Anderson's, and I just felt sorry for our players for the reasons you said, because it really is David versus Goliath now, and it's not even funny anymore. You know, we've gone to the Etihad. I think they played 14 games so far this season at home, and they've won 13. And the only one they lost was against Palace, which included a worldie from Andros Townsend. That's what it takes to get something at Man City. You need one of your players to score a 1 in 4 season strike, or you're getting nothing. But it doesn't help that, you know, the referees aren't giving a soft penalty. The boys can be proud tonight. We can be proud of them. I think they've done a fantastic job. We've written off. We were sitting here making a joke about how many City were going to score. They should have scored more, but the fact is they didn't, through hard work, through commitment, through organisation. I seen Ryan Fredericks tonight play the offside line better than he's ever played it in a West Ham shirt. Even at Fulham, he was keeping a couple of players on side. Tonight, there was 1 or 2 times he stopped. Aguero went through, offside call. Fantastic, Ryan Fredericks. Brilliant. You're developing from game to game. You're getting better and better and better. Gonzo, individual players, I think it's just praise tonight, really. I don't think there's much criticism you can lay at anybody.
No, I've got nothing bad to say about anyone with him. Even Andy Carroll, who I just don't think fits into what we're doing. It must have been a terrible, horrible night's work for Andy Carroll. It must have been a frustrating thing to be a part of tonight. The back line were absolutely fantastic. I thought Fredericks, as you say, was marvellous. Ben Johnson, what a lovely, wonderful debut. I'm absolutely delighted for him, and I hope he's going to be absolutely buzzing. I've seen a player at close quarters come through the ranks, and I've seen him return home, and he's going to, I guess, different internet now, isn't it? Of course, and maybe things like this, you know, but taking every clipping of every newspaper, he's going to want to know what everybody thought of his performance today, and he has done it brilliantly. And he's not come in against Wimbledon in the FA Cup. He's coming against Manchester City at the Etihad in the wrong position. Well done him. And I tell you what, he will see himself now featuring in that squad next season. There'll be a lot of times when he's coming off the bench and featuring. Wonderful. Diop, I thought, was immense. I even thought at one point, calm it down, mate, because you're actually almost auditioning for Manchester City here. Guardiola probably looking at him thinking, I'll have a bit of that. And Ogbonna, well, what he just seems to have cracked it in the last 2 or 3 games. He seems to have cemented himself alongside Diop and learned how to play alongside Diop. It depends how you look at it. I was going to say at almost the wrong time because Balbuena's coming back, but maybe exactly the right time because maybe Balbuena doesn't immediately come back in now. I just thought that back line were absolutely sensational, and everyone else worked their arses off. And that's why, Gio, we didn't deserve the soft penalty. We really didn't, because we did play ugly. We did sacrifice ourselves. We did agree not to attack, basically. The only keeper had 1 save, and it was a great save. But when we put on all that endeavour, yes, you'll look at the stats. They have more corners. They have more goals. Well, obviously, they had more goals. They won the game. More possession, all of that stuff. But I tell you what, we ran. I bet we had that stat. I bet we ran. I bet our fitness levels and those players who worked their arse off against superior players did not deserve to be beaten in such a way. Let De Bruyne curl it in from 25 yards. Do you know what I mean? Let's see a lovely Derry Lee triangle between whatever Bernardo Silva and Aguero and score a beautiful goal. But that's why it was a little bit rough today. But West Ham, nothing bad to say at all, mate.
I thought our midfield was a bit ominous, if you want to say that, but that's through no fault of their own. I've never seen a midfield dominate a City midfield in a long time, and they did what they had to do, and that was stick close to the defence. Do not allow a gap between midfield and defence, because that's where De Bruyne and David Silva like to operate. They kept it tight, they kept it compact, and City then had to take shots from in front of the midfield rather than behind the midfield. So that's the biggest compliment they can get. Although our defence was fantastic. Ben Johnson was brilliant. He tell you what, he's got a perfect right to say to Pellegrini, I'm starting on Saturday now, mate, because he deserves it. You know, did Creswell deserve to lose his shirt tonight? Well, no, he's got a foot injury. That's the thing. But Johnson's almost snatched it for me. At the very, very least, he's on the bench on Saturday ahead of Masuaku. Masuaku's just lost his squad place tonight, unfortunately, to a 19-year-old. I thought Ryan Fredericks got booked very early on. A bit of a naughty tackle that on Sané, actually. But he was then on a booking for about an hour of the game, had to stay very, very disciplined, and he did it, and he did it well. That's the best game I've seen Ryan Fredericks play for West Ham. There's a lot of crosses he blocked, a lot of shots he blocked, sliding tackles, etc. I thought Fredericks was super. Best game in a West Ham shirt. Their centre-backs were brilliant, or their keeper was brilliant. The thing with Carroll is it was difficult for him tonight. Carroll was not meant to start tonight, okay? So in training, you have to assume Pellegrini had been working with Arnautovic up front. Then all of a sudden, Carroll's got to come in. So he's not been involved in the training. If he has, he's probably been testing Diop and Ogbonna at corners and stuff. So that's very difficult for Carroll for a start. Second of all, he's getting scraps up there. I actually think he did okay. He won a couple of headers, and you cannot underestimate how difficult it is, or should I say, how good it is for a defence when your striker can flick it on, even if it just bobbles away and gets 10 seconds added onto the clock, allows them to just shuffle up a few yards more, organise a bit. And all it would have took was one gamble from Antonio to get in behind and for Carroll to win it and bam, we're 1-on-1. It didn't happen. That's all. I would have liked Pellegrini to have changed at half-time, took Carroll off and went for a more attacking front three of Anderson, maybe Lanzini and Antonio, went for the counter-attacking team. But I can completely understand why he's left Carroll on. His substitutions was very obvious. He was taking off his tired legs and perhaps with one eye for the Newcastle game with Anderson already. He's obviously thinking 1-0 down, not really had a sniff. I'm going to get Anderson off, getting Diangana on, another young lad loose and see what he can do. But Gonzo, what's your final thoughts, and can I get your man of match, please?
My final thoughts. Well, it just reminded me it's Newcastle again. That's why I was on a rush to get that Cardiff ticket off today.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I for those of you watching, I was messaging Gio saying, what's your address again? Got to send you a ticket. It's fame in Newcastle. Lanzini, 45 minutes, and that's good news. Okay, really good news. There's nothing more to say about the game and Man City. We talk about our players. That's great news. There are some positives. That's fantastic. Ben Johnson, that is fantastic. Ryan Fredericks, bloody good news. That right back there. We didn't know Zabaleta come on for his, he came on at left back and got to wave to. Do you think that's why Pellegrini brought him on? I don't want to throw a conspiracy or anything. Do you think he only came on because it was the Etihad? I do. I think there was I don't want to criticise Pellegrini too much, but yeah, mate, there's too much of a loving. I've told you this. I don't want to do the rant again, but there's too much of a loving going on with us and Manchester City. Yes. I think he was brought on to wave at the fans. Aguero got a cuddle when he came off. Pellegrini said, and don't get me wrong, I don't think Pellegrini's been unprofessional, because Pellegrini went out there to spoil Man City's party. So I'm accusing Pellegrini of nothing here. But it's a little bit too lovely. You know what I mean? And I want this is a sporting contest that they are. People say, oh, you got to admire Man City. People say you got to admire Man City the way they play football. I don't. We're in a competition. We're in the same competition as them. Yeah, do you understand? We play against them. We have to try and beat them. That is the ethos of a sporting contest. I will admire Barcelona because I don't support a Spanish team, so I can watch them completely as a neutral. The heck goes on about I'm very, very competitive. When I see other teams play, and particularly when they're coming up to play against West Ham, I don't want to see them doing well. I don't like it. Anyway, that's that. But that is very, very pleasing about Fredericks. Very pleasing. Lanzini, Johnson, Fredericks, Diop and Dubry Watsit and Ogbonna next to him. Fabianski at the back. There's a lot to be positive about. Midfield, well, do you know what? That wasn't our main midfield anyway. City didn't have to win the ball off us today because we just gave it to them and allowed them to attack. But that's what happens when you don't, and there's nothing more we could have done. There's lots and lots and lots to be positive about, though, and they're really well drilled in the offside trap today, I thought.
Yeah, I can only echo that. Lots of positives to take. Lots of individual players' performances were really, really good. And you could add to that while you're talking about Lanzini, you got 45 minutes. I think that's crucial. I think assuming he's come through okay. Is it too soon for him to start against Newcastle? perhaps, but you could then say, we'll start him, but look to take him off after an hour, give him an extra few minutes on the pitch against Newcastle. But you could see today, as soon as Lanzini was on the pitch, it took him 5 minutes to create our only chance of the game. That's just how good he is. And you do wonder if this fixture was in a couple of weeks' time, we would have a completely different 11 out there. Balbuena would maybe be back, Lanzini would be fitter, we'd have a different striker up front and stuff. It would be a different game. But all 11 players and the substitutes, they all gave 100%. They all ran themselves into the ground. This is all we ask for. All we say is just work hard, and we'll hold our hands up. We got beat by the better team, and that's the case tonight. We just got beat by someone that's better than us, albeit through a bit of a dubious decision by the referee. But yeah, good performances all around. Can I get your man of the match though, please, Gonzo?
Oh, tough one. I might go with. It's one of the back four. Including the keeper, back five. I'm going to go. No, not Fredericks. I'm going to go with Ogbonna, mate, I think.
Yeah, I was tempted by Fredericks. Like I said, it was the best performance of West Ham, sure. But that tackle he did, I don't like them ones. It wasn't cynical. It wasn't a trip. It looked like he was trying to stud him in the back of the thigh. And those...
He did that, just to interrupt. He did it in the playoff final for Fulham.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't like them, because if that was Lanzini, we'd all be saying, "Oi, what is that? Red card or something." I really don't like to see those kind of tackles. I don't mind cynical trips. I quite like watching people sort of, if Sani's breaking away, trip him up at the ankle, take a booking, sort the danger out, sorted. But that was almost like a tackle with intent to hurt, in my opinion. He was nowhere near the ball. He was in behind. I just thought, oh... I don't like that. So for that, he sort of comes down a little bit, and I'm going to give it to Ogbonna as well. I thought he was magnificent tonight. I thought he was really good. He had Johnson. We did the build-up show, and I said he has to help Johnson out. And I felt Johnson struggled for the first 5 minutes. I thought he was a bit too close to Ogbonna, and someone must have said something, because he sorted himself out after that. Johnson was a bit tighter to Mahrez, etc., etc. But I thought man of match for Ogbonna as well. I thought he was didn't do absolutely anything wrong. At the end of the day, he's kept one of the best strikers we will ever see in the Premier League quiet. I know he scored, but the penalty spot doesn't count for Ogbonna. So anyway, that's it. That's our match review. 2 positive hammers, despite the fact we got beat 1-0. We'll be back tomorrow night, Thursday night, with our preview of the Newcastle game, not the Cardiff game, Gonzo, the Newcastle game, where we could be, well, we will see changes, because along with all the positives Gonzo mentioned, Noble and Snodgrass obviously had a rest. Lanzini's a little bit fitter, and Marko Arnautovic might have recovered from his illness. Creswell might be back with his foot injury. Balbuena should be fit enough to play. So join us for that preview. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Leave your comments below. What did you think of West Ham's performance tonight? 1-0 against City. But we've seen better teams go there and get beat by bigger margins. Subscribe to your news channel, and we will see you very soon.